Explaining the game, football, life, strategy, why hashes matter, understanding the American football field.
You've got some explaining to do.
So we have these three different football fields. The one on the left is a high school football field. Notice it has this track around it. The one in the middle of college football field, and the one on the far right is a pro football field, NFL football field. So one of the most noticeable things would be the hash marks that are in the middle of the field, these little horizontal lines. So the high school football field, the hash marks or the hashes are the widest, the furthest distance apart. In college, they are medium distance, so smaller than the high school hashes, but shorter than the NFL hashes. The NFL hashes are the shortest hashes. There's a very small distance between those two hash marks. So a couple of different ways that you will notice the difference between which field that you're looking at. Look at the hashes. The high school football fields usually will have a track around them. They may also have like soccer indentations or soccer marks on them for the soccer, because a lot of times schools, they don't have the space to have all these separate fields. So it's more common in high school. Sometimes in college, if it's a small college or university, and of course never in the NFL, hardly you'll ever see the marks because they're professional fields. So here is a real life example of a high school football field. There's a tracker along the football field. These black marks are the marks for a soccer field. This will be where the goals are right here. This will be center field. And this right here. And there are the soccer nets. So high school have a football field, multi-purpose field, have the soccer field, and you have the stands. And a lot of times with the high school fields, you will have the bleachers. More bleachers will be on the home field, and the visitors will have less bleachers. So they try to get out the home team fans to go out there and watch the games and don't really care too much about the visitors. So that's one interesting thing where we support the home team, but come and watch our team play as a visitor, then they're not going to treat you too well with seating. So, and I have a couple more examples of an actual high school football field. But of course, you will notice that these hashes are wide. And looking at the goalposts for the football, you'll see that they extend a bit of a distance outside of the goalposts for the high school football field. This is another example. So bleachers, I say this is the visiting team. This will be the home team since there's more bleachers here. There's the soccer indentations, both fields, in both sides of the fields, center field, and the wide hashes. So, another example of a high school football field. And this is how the soccer field will look. So you can convert this from soccer to football, track, grass, midfield, goals. And of course, this is high school, multi-purpose fields. And you can get an aerial view of this. Right here would be an aerial view of the same similar field, same sport. So here's a college football field. Notice the hashes are narrower than the high school football field. which I'll give a better visual in a moment, but there's tons of colors here. This is the University of Tennessee Volunteers. And with those college atmospheres, some of the stadiums can be 70, 80, 90, 100,000 seats. And when students graduate, a lot of them will go back and support their football team. So that's something that's interesting, where you have the biggest stadiums are usually with the college teams, because you will have people who attended there 2, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, still attending games. So there's a big fan base that's just not based on where you live, but based on, more importantly, if you attended that school. This is an NFL football field. And this is the New York Jets. The hashes are the narrowest for the Professional Football League, NFL, National Football League. And not as much colors, because most of the fans are fans because they grew up or lived in that particular city or region, whereas college can attract people from all over the country or all over the world. So stadiums are smaller. 60,000, 70,000 isn't uncommon. You're not going to have a stadium that's 100,000 in the NFL. So I will zoom in and show the differences between these hashes in a moment. So here's the high school football field again. Where the ball is located is the line of scrimmage. So there's a black line right here. Ball is here. So this is at the 40-yard line. This yellow line would be where you have to get to move the ball to get another set of downs. So basically you have 3 downs, 3 chances to get 10 yards. First and 10, second and 10, third and 10. Then once 4th down comes along, you can either go for it. If you don't get it, then the other team gets the ball where you were stopped at. So you can either kick it to the other team, kick it for a field goal to try to get 3 points between these goalposts, or go for it. So go for it, kick it to the other team, or try for points. If you're too far, you're not going to try to kick a field goal. And if you're like up here in this red zone, then you're not going to kick it to the other team. You're going to try to kick field goal or go for it. But this red zone is called the red zone, the 20 yards closest to the end zone. So this would be an end zone. This would be an end zone. So you have your field that's 110 yards, playable field. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and then 60, 70, 80, 90, last 10 yards would be 100. So each hash is 1 yard, and between the big numbers would be 5 yards. So 4 hashes, then there's a halfway point. So let's say that this is the 40. This would be the 35, that's the 30, that's the 25, that's the 20, that's the 15, the 10, the 5, the goal line, and the end zone. So here, this is 100 yards. The end zones are 10 yards. So playable field is 100 yards. The end zone are 10 yards. And let's see. So if you count it from here, like this is the 1 yard line. Then there's 2, then there's 3, then there's 4, then that's a 5, that's a 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Once you get to the midfield point, so these arrows point in the direction of where your opponent's end zone is. So the whole point is to get the ball in the opponent's end zone, Touchdown is 6 points. If you kick it between these yellow goalposts, 3 points. If you score a touchdown, once you score your 6 points, you can choose to kick an extra point for one more point, which will make the whole sequence 7 points. Or you can go for 2 points, which will make the sequence touchdown plus 2, which will be 8 points. If you don't get the extra point or the 2 points, then you would just be stuck with 6 points. So your scoring at this point will be 6 or 6 plus 1 or 6 plus 2 or 3 if you get it in the uprights. But the arrows that are on the field tell you which direction you are in relationship to your end zone and the opponent's end zone. So let's say you have the ball at this 40-yard line right here and the arrows are pointing straight. That means you are 40 yards from your opponent's end zone, which means you're 40 yards away from scoring a potential touchdown. Let's say you're at this 40-yard line and the arrows are pointing towards you or pointing downwards. That means you are 40 yards away from your own end zone and the opponent is 40 yards away from your end zone. So your goal is to go this way to get to their end zone. Their goal is to push you back that way towards their end zone. So you score in their end zone and they try to score in your end zone or to push you back into your end zone. That's the gist of it. So this is a college field, narrow hashes, same process. 20-yard line, arrows point that way. You're 20 yards from this goal line for a touchdown. So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15-yard line, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10-yard line, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5-yard line, 4, 3, 2, 1, goal line, touchdown. So arrows point this way. That's how many yards you are towards you getting a touchdown. Arrows point that way. That means you are 40 yards away from your own touchdown, or not your own touchdown, 40 yards away from your opponent scoring. So if you are here, this means that you are at your opponent's 30-yard line. If the arrows are pointing down, that means you are on your own 30-yard line. So that's one way to remember it. So if you hear someone say, "Where's the ball?" You are on your opponent's 25-yard line, that means you're here. And if the arrows are pointing the other way and you were 75 yards away from a touchdown instead of 25, they'll say you're at your own 25-yard line. And with this NFL field, hashes are very narrow. Big stadium, very narrow hashes. That's your indication that this is an NFL field, and the goal lines would be the same. Right underneath the goalpost would be the end zone, and that would be 10 yards. And this is a representation of the ball being placed in the middle of the field. Ball can never be placed outside of the hashes that are in the middle of the field. They are between the hashes or on the hash, never outside of the hashes. So here's an example of these three fields again. So you have your high school field, you have your college field, and then you have your NFL field. So high school, widest hashes. College would be in the middle, and the NFL has the narrowest hashes. So as I said before, the ball is always placed to the nearest hash. So if you have the ball here and you run out of bounds and you get stopped like right here, the ball will get placed right here. It's not going to be placed anywhere outside of the hash is in the middle. Similarly, if you have the ball here, and if you run and you get stopped here, the ball will be placed at this hash here. Same concept with college and the NFL. The ball is always placed at the nearest hash. If you get stopped here, the ball will get placed here. Here, 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 here. Same with college. Wherever you're tackled between the hashes, that's where the ball is. Outside of the hash, you're stopped here, it'll go here. If you're stopped here, it'll go there. You're stopped here. If you're stopped here and go out of bounds, ball will be placed on this hash. So ball outside of the hashes, ball is placed to the nearest hash. Otherwise, between the hashes, the ball is placed on that hash. So you don't want to forget that, because that is very important. Okay, so high school, college, or NCAA, National Collegiate Athletic Association, F for football, and Pro NFL National Football League. So similarities: 100-yard fields, playable fields, those directions, 2 end zones that are 10 yards. So field is 120 yards. The playable field is 100 yards. Width of the field is 53 1/3 yards. So width would be that way from sideline to sideline. 53 1/3 yards. Same yard structure, so you can count in either direction. 50, so 50, 49, 48, 40, that way, or 50, 49, 48, 40, then opposite way. So same yard structure. Goalposts were shown earlier, the little yellow goalposts. Sidelines would be in white on the side of the field. And 11 on 11 guys against 11 other guys. Same basic rules. And then if you have the ball, you're on offense. If you have the ball, you're on offense. And if you are defending, you are on defense. So those are the basic similarities. But next part coming up, we'll discuss the importance of the hashes. So the high school hashes are 17.8 yards apart between left hash mark, right hash mark. College, 13.3 yards apart, left and right. And the NFL, very narrow, 6.2 yards apart. So if the distance between is 30 and it's 25, that's 5 yards, and add 1 more yard, and that is basically the distance between these two. High school hashes are about 3 times wider than the NFL hashes. And how does it change the game? Because with the high school game, there is a tiny boundary and a wide field. So boundary would be the narrow or short part of the field. So if the ball is anywhere on this left hash, this becomes the boundary, and this, everything else becomes the field side. And then similarly with college, that would be the boundary and everything else to be the field. And the NFL, there's not a major difference between the boundary and the field side over here. And when it comes to high school, high school defenses must defend a lot of grass, a lot of space, compared to college or the NFL. And This simplifies the game for quarterbacks because technically the quarterback does not have to read the whole field. If you're here, he can just read half of the field. He can just read one half of the field. If you're playing defense, you have to guard people all across the field. So there's a lot of room for RPOs, which would be run pass option, which would be a package play where there's an option to run the ball or to pass it, and that's an option. Screen pass, you might throw a screen, have the ball here, throw a screen, throw a pass here, and try to run and get into space to stretch the defense across horizontally, which would be left and right across the field. So with that, quarterback does not have to read the whole field because the field is a tiny boundary and maybe they just want to attack the boundary or run screen passes to the wide open field, and that really can stretch the defense. So there's not a whole lot of mental processing with the high school game with quarterbacks because they don't have to be able to read the field. In college, they're expected to do more because there's less of an advantage between the boundary and the field. But college quarterbacks will need to be able to read more of the field compared to high school. So the ball is here. There's all of this field over here on the right of it, all this field over here that must be accounted for. So you can't just read a tiny portion of a field like you could in high school. But this does mean that timing does start to matter more. Better athletes can eat up more space quicker than they can in high school. So what people usually will notice is that the jump between high school and college, they say, hey, why were they great in high school but not in college? Well, they're playing against guys who weren't going to be college athletes, and they're required to mentally process the game quicker and faster. So they're playing against people who might be at the same level field that they may have played in high school, which there might have not been a big skill gap between these two levels, and it starts to balance it off. And similarly, the jump from college to NFL, they'll say, hey, why was he so great in college? But there's a massive jump. The boundary or the hashes basically are cut in half between these two levels. So you can't run gimmicky plays or gimmicky offenses to hide deficiencies like you can in college or even in high school. So there's very little free space because these fields will be nearly even all the time. 6-yard difference in width will change where the ball will be spotted. So there's not a whole lot of free space or free grass that you can use to manipulate. So quarterbacks must be able to process the whole entire field, not just a little section like they could in high school or even in college, which means there's tight windows and accuracy and all that stuff must be paramount. They're paramount. So the hashes change the game. That's what a lot of people don't notice. So the field is the same width, but the hashes determine where the ball is located and what windows are available, how much free grass the offense gets, or how much grass the defense is expected to cover. And in NFL, they can rotate the skies and recover quicker than they can in college and definitely in high school. So with the win now culture in high school or even in college, coaches want to win, and the winning doesn't necessarily translate over to the next level. You can win in high school, but it doesn't mean that you're developing athletes' potential for the next level. Similarly with college, just because they were successful there, you win, but your traits don't necessarily always transfer over to the NFL. And not just skill level, it's Also with the location of the football and the hashes, which completely changes how the game is actually played. So that's something that a lot of people may not notice, but these hashes do determine how the game is played. So with the high school, let's say the blue is the field and the yellow is the boundary. So on the left image, the blue is the field, the yellow is the boundary. Narrow boundary, big field. A lot of free grass and space that the offense can manipulate and can stretch the defense vertically. The right image would be the boundary if the ball is placed on the left hash mark, and there's a lot of open field on the right hash mark, the right half on the field side. So left image, ball is placed on the right hash mark, which means that the field side is on the left. Right image, the ball is placed on the left hash mark, which means the field side is to the right. In college, similar, but the boundary opens up, so there's more boundary. Boundaries on the left, ball's on the left hash mark, field is on the right in blue. And in the right image, the ball is on the right hash mark, that yellow is the boundary, and the field side is in blue. And when it comes to the NFL, you'll notice that the field and boundary are nearly equal, with boundary is the blue side, ball is placed on the left hash mark, and the field side is the yellow hash mark. And on the right image, the ball is placed on the right hash mark, which will be where the boundary side is, and the field side is the left side of the field. So with the 6.2 yard width between the two hashes, the quarterback, there's no free grass, there's no free space. You have to be able to get the ball out on time with anticipation, even before the receiver may break to look for the ball. College, the ball, in high school, the ball is thrown into open receivers. And people saying in the NFL, you have to throw the receivers open. So there has to be trust between the quarterback and the receivers to make sure that the ball is out and on time. So 2nd and 17. Ball is at the 21, 2, 3. This line is just for viewers at home. Players on the field don't see this. So ball's at the 23-yard line, 2nd and 17 yards to get the first down. They're at the 20-yard line, their own 23-yard line, meaning that they are 23 yards away from their own goal line, and they are 77 yards away from scoring a touchdown. So let's see what happens. Quarterback throws the ball to the other team, which is an interception. The ball he's out of bounds around the 20-yard line, pushed out of bounds. So throws the ball to the other team. He catches at the 40, runs it back 20 yards to the opponent's 20-yard line. Other team has the ball at the 20-yard line, where the guy was pushed out 20 yards from the end zone, which means they're in the red zone. And let's see what happens here with this play. 1st and 10, runs the ball, stopped around he's touched here, grabbed there, knee goes down around I would say 11-yard line. So next play should be 2nd and 1. So rule difference in NFL. Let's say if this guy fell on his own, then the ball, he can get up and continue running. In college, if he falls on his own, the ball plays marked dead, and that's where the ball is placed. So knees, elbows, forearms, shins, backside, that's considered down. So it should be 2nd and 1 at the 11-yard line when the next play picks up. Okay, 2nd and 1. Next play, 2nd and 1. Running back falls down, and you see that he is touched. These guys touch him because if he falls down, he can get back up and continue running. So play ends. All right, so it's now 3rd and 2. Ball at the 12-yard line after the 1-yard loss. Let's see what happens next. Incomplete pass, so it's going to be 4th and 2. So going back, this receiver, the bottom of the screen right here, he points to the line judge to declare that he's on the line. This one right here points backwards, saying that he is off the line. This will be discussed in a future video, but you have to have 7 guys on the line of scrimmage every play. So you can have 7 guys on the line and a maximum of 5 wide receivers. So the guy snapping the ball is a center. There's a guard, there's a guard, there's a guard, there's a tackle. That's your left tackle, that's your left guard, that's your center, that's your right guard, that's your right tackle. That's 5 guys on the line right there. Then you can have 2 more guys on the line. But so beneath your centers, you can have your quarterback, so that's 6 guys right there, which means you can have a maximum of 5 receivers, eligible receivers. But I'll get into that more in another episode. But you have your 5 here, which would be your offensive lineman. You have 1 guy here, this receiver, saying he's on the line, so that's 6 guys on the line. And then you have this guy right here who is on the line. That means 2 on the line, 5 right here, that's your 7. And then there's 4 more players. You have this guy who's telling the line judge right here that he is off the line. And this guy is on the line, and then you have your other 2 guys, but we'll get into that later. Okay, 4th down and 2, clock is running out, 2 seconds, 1 second, delay a game, penalty, 5-yard penalty, yellow flag, delay a game. So right here, they could be intentionally getting a penalty so the ball will back up 5 yards so the kicker can get a better angle to kick the field goal. Okay, so it's 4th and 7 after the 5-yard penalty, 4th and 2 to 4th and 7. 35-yard field goal. The ball is between the hashes. As I mentioned, ball can never be outside the middle hashes. Kick is up. Kick is good. There's your 3 points right there. So score changes from 0-0 to 3-0. Denver Broncos 3, Seattle Seahawks 0. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, points. Just saw 3, touchdown is 6, extra point a 2-point conversion. You can go on 6 or 7 or 8. You just saw 3. Here's 2. So here, ball is at the 1 yard line. So they have to go 99 yards for a touchdown. They're in their own end zone. And what happens if they get stuck in their own end zone? So here, doesn't look like anything special happens, but there's a penalty that happens here. The penalty is a holding penalty, which takes place right. The holding penalty is right in the middle of the field. So, since he prevents this guy by holding his jersey, he prevents this guy from getting to the quarterback. Right here, if he gets tackled in the end zone, it's a safety. If he runs out of the end zone, it's a safety. He fumbles the ball and the other team gets it. If he fumbles and he gets it, the ball in here, it's a touchdown because this is the same as them going this direction and scoring. Penalty in the end zone, holding penalty, which prevents a quarterback from getting sacked, is a safety. Then the referee will come and announce holding in the end zone, result of the play, safety. So the score will change from 3 to 5. Denver will get 2 points since Seattle committed a penalty in their own end zone, holding penalty, which is a safety, 2 points. And this is the penalty, clear as day. Seattle holds Denver's from sacking, tackling quarterback with the football. And that's when the score changes from 3 to 3 to 3 to 5 with that penalty. So it's 4th and 6. Denver has had 3 chances to move the ball. They have not picked up a first down. They're at their own 35, 34 yard line, which means the other team is 30 yards away from Denver's goal. If Denver goes forward and does not get it, they get the ball here or wherever they're tackled, and they only have to go 30 yards to score. So Denver is punting the ball. Ball is here's the line judge right here. There's another one right here. This is the first down marker. Right here will be the first down. This would be 6 yards right here. So to get to the first down, they'd have to get to the 40-yard line since they're at the 34 and need 6 more yards that way. So Denver has decided to punt the ball off to Seattle. And let's see what happens. Punts the ball to Seattle. And the ball is stopped from going into the end zone. So if Denver catches the ball and stops the ball from going into the end zone, Seattle will get the ball at the 1 yard line. So he stops the ball from going in and he's down at the 1 yard line. NFL, if any part of his body touches the end zone, well, that kills the play and the ball can't be down at the 1 yard line. In college, you could be in the end zone and knock it back out to stop it from going in. That's one of those subtle rules. Here's another angle where he stops the ball, catches it at the 1, jumps in the air, tosses it, ball's out of his hand to his teammate before his foot hits the ground. His teammates come to a dead stop at the 1 yard line, and the ball will be down at the 1 yard line. So when Seattle gets the ball again, they will have to go 99 yards for a touchdown. Seattle get to the 1 yard line, special team downs it. Let's see what happens here. Seattle runs the ball, and they are stopped, and they do not get out of their end zone. Guys are putting up the safety sign over their head, and it is a safety. So Denver gets 2 points, and the score will go from 8 to 9 to 10 to 9. Once you get a safety, you have to kick the ball back. So Denver gets 2 points and they get the ball. So if safeties happen, the team gets rewarded 2 points and the football. And here you go. Referee announces, official announces the safety, and +2 goes to Denver. And if there was any doubt, the running back does not get out of the end zone. So Shane and Nee are both down. The ball is like right here. The entire ball has to get out of the end zone in order for it to not be a safety. So the ball is like right out here. Ball has to be out of the end zone. Since he's there. Similarly, if Denver was going for a touchdown and they just crossed the plane, that's a touchdown. So in order to get out, you have to cross the plane and get out here. So when it's scoring from 8 to 9 to 10 to 9, Seattle has to kick the ball off to Denver. Free kick. And kicks off to Denver. Denver runs it and it's tackled around the 36-yard line. Once again, free kick. Ball is caught at the 10. Runs it back for about 26 yards. So let's see what happens here. Denver with the ball. Catch. Ball's knocked out. Seattle recovers it. He's saying he didn't catch it. Seattle celebrating like they had the ball. That would be a fumble. Catch. Ball is knocked out of your hand or you lose it. It's a fumble. And Seattle recovers it, so they get the ball where it was recovered at. So you can only throw the ball forward once as a forward pass. Otherwise, you get a penalty for illegal forward pass. And you can throw it backwards as many times as you want, but you have to catch the ball, make a football move, have possession of the ball. He makes a football move, guy knocks it out of his hand. That's a fumble. So he catches it, has control, makes a football move, possession of the ball, Seattle recovers it. And that's a turnover. Once again, catch, ball knocked out, Seattle recovers it, that's a fumble. Okay, you can run the football in, quarterback runs the ball, 30 plus yard, gets in the end zone, touchdown, get your 6 points. So there are 5 receivers, they're going for 2 points. Quarterback throws it left, incomplete. Number 2 says he's pushing off for pass interference. There's a field judge right there. Quarterback says, my fault again. 2-point conversion, pass is thrown. Not the best throw. 2 says pass interference. Field judge comes in. He'll be discussed more later. Here's a play where quarterback throws a ball. It's caught to the end zone for a touchdown. After the touchdown, kicker kicks a ball. Extra point. Gets your +1. Goes to 26. And there we go. Until next time, because there's always some more explaining to do.